is that we will be recording this. So we're going to start the recording now just so we can post it later, make sure it's available to everyone. And then also before we dig in a little further, I know some people are calling in, and if I can get those folks who are calling in, we can't see your names, just see your phone numbers. If you don't mind just letting us know who you are, so we know who we've got in the room today.
Chuck Mather from Rain for Rent.
Thanks, Chuck.
John Gadberry, Earthwork Solutions.
Thanks, John. I see an 805 number. Maybe muted. We can't hear you. All right, maybe we'll try to come back to you, figure out who you are. But thanks everybody for joining. Let me do a quick run of introductions. I'm Tyler Davis. I work for Juan County. I'm the project manager on this on the county's behalf. Also in the call with me is the Juan County Department of Environmental Stewardship Director, Kendra Smith. Also from our county team, we've got Carolina Ramos. She is our procurement specialist and also contract specialist. We've also got Kelsey, who's part of our admin team and helping run the meeting. Also part of our larger team, not working for the county, but our engineer on record is Steve Rodriguez with Wolf Water Resources. And then we've got Cameron Bloomer and Todd Chase from KBA, who we have hired to do the construction management of this project. And yeah, that's the whole team. A quick overview of the project itself. This whole project started 5 years ago almost, when the culvert blew out in 2020 and was very quickly repaired by our county's public works team, but on the condition that it would be replaced eventually with a fish-passable culvert. So it was replaced with a 2-foot wide culvert. It wasn't fish-passable, and the conditions for that temporary replacement were that we would go back and put in a fish-passable culvert, which a design was pretty quickly made back 5 years ago now. And it was in 2023 that was going to be constructed, and this is a very quick kind of short version of all that happened in 2023 when that was announced to the community. They were understandably upset with the length of the closure that would be required during peak season travel in an island community that has high tourism in the summer months. And so the project got kind of put back on the shelf while we tried to figure out a better solution for the disruption it would cause that community, and kind of some of the related issues like safety issues for emergency response and things of that nature. So we went back to the drawing board to see how we could minimize the closure times, work closely with Wolf Water Resources and Steve, our engineer, to come up with some ideas that would minimize that closure time. And then also look at if there was an opportunity to do a single lane bypass during construction, which was a bit of a challenge because of the narrow road right of way. But that is what we were able to accomplish. And so here we are with two designs. There's the base design that would require full closure for what we are staying really firm on as a maximum of 9 days full closure for putting in that culvert. And then as an alternative, if as a possible alternative, is to do a single lane closure through the construction project so that there is still traffic allowed through the construction site for the duration of construction, which again is a pretty key of key importance to the community. So that brings us to where we are now. I also wanted to just hand it over to Carolina briefly to talk about the bid structure of this project. Carolina, do you want to chime in?
Good afternoon, everyone. So the way that this bid is structured is with two options, two different options. And the intention is that bidders would bid on both options. Each one has a full line item list of bid items. So there's two bid 3-page bid forms in the package for bidding on both options. We have called them bid option 1 and bid option 2. Bid option 1 being the road closure option, and bid option 2 being the detour road option, which doesn't involve full road closure, but does involve construction of a detour road. And there are also time frame windows for each of those options. So there's an additional sheet in the bid package to indicate which time frame the contractor, the bidding contractor, would intend to use for option 1 or option 2. All of this is described in the specs in section 1-08.4 and 0.5. And the detour road option is described in detail at section 2-10. And so it's a little different from a standard bid, which just has one set of bid line items. The county will review the bids that come in for all the options and see whether the lowest responsive bid from a responsible bidder in option 1 or option 2 is felt more appropriate for proceeding with. And so it would be one or the other of those options that would end up with being awarded a contract. That's the basics. Let me know if there's anything I can clarify.
Thanks, Carolina. Yeah, great. So since we put the bid documents out there, we noticed a couple of things that needed addressing and clarifying. Had some questions coming from the community when they looked at the bid documents as well. So we did issue an addendum yesterday. Hopefully you had a chance to review that. I'm going to ask our engineer, Steve, to just give a quick rundown of what was on that addendum.
Hello, Steve Rodriguez here, Wolf Water Resources Engineer Record. The addendum that was issued focused almost entirely on those elements related to work windows and durations of closures. And basically the addendum has a running list of like individual items in the specifications that it's pretty self-explanatory as far as how the text changed. In general, pretty much all the closure durations or references to those were amended to ensure that they referred to calendar days as opposed to working days. All duration lengths and closure lengths should read or should be interpreted as calendar days. And that 9-day closure window is very much like an important component to the design, and then total project length is measured in calendar days in that. Let's see. There was a component in Division 1 related to in the requirements for non-discrimination that was removed and deemed by the county to be not required. Then this a point of contact for the temporary utility bypass for the water was provided in section 107 or 1-07, and then in section 108 it was another one is the timing of the culvert shop drawings. Again, schedule is a key component, especially for that first work window. And so that requirement for the culvert shop drawings was reduced from 8 weeks to 6 weeks. to make sure, or basically to make sure there's enough time for the contractors, once under contract, to make those contacts with the culvert manufacturers, get those elements in place and submit in time to still make the work window. Yeah, as Carolina and Tyler mentioned in section 1-08.4 and 1-08.5, those were all the references to calendar days, and then also clarification on what road reopening refers to in terms of the road closure duration, and then specifics on making sure that the contractors know that they need to make the necessary arrangements, and understand potential ferry complications with their schedules. If you're unaware, is to make sure that that is taken into account when you're considering your bid on this project. Let's see, going through, I believe one more in Division 6 on the structure itself. We utilized a certain culvert model in our design as a reference. We amended the specification to remove mention of a recommended product, more just a clarification of this is what was used for the design. The important element to consider in selection of your product is the size. We're concerned about the size of the culvert, not necessarily the manufacturer, as long as it meets the necessary specifications. So in Division 6 in the structures, that was amended in the specifications. And I believe that covers the general items covered in this addendum.
Great. Thanks so much, Steve, for that summary. Yeah, that's a quick overview of who we are, what we're doing. I'd like to open it up for questions, and we'll do our best to answer.
I have a question, Tyler.
Yeah, Derek, please go ahead. I can.
I was wondering if you could explain what's happening with the existing utilities. In that it looks like there's some notes about that some of them might be moved and some of them need to be protected in place. Are they all staying right where they're at those elevations, or is there some sort of plan to temporarily relocate or permanently relocate those?
Yeah, because this project was previously almost a go, we had plans for all of those utilities to be accounted for in the construction. So yeah, there's going to be some temporary alignment of those utilities during construction. We have a bypass in place for the water, for instance. It's it's not currently connected. We need to get it reconnected. Opalco is aware of this project and will help with the power there. And yeah, so we're working on all of that with the utility providers and have a plan in place for each of those utilities. Any other questions? I'm not hearing any. We've got a lot of time to discuss things if folks want to, but if not, we can also wrap this up. I know we've all got lots of other work to do. Yeah, can anybody want to chime in with another question? Otherwise, I don't think I'll need to leave this meeting open much longer. No? Well, I guess that was easier than I thought. If anybody does have any questions, of course, you can reach out. We will ensure to make all questions available to and accessible to all interested parties. If questions do arise, if there's any other issues that need to be addressed in an addendum, we'll do so. But yeah, for now, if there's no remaining questions, I think we can wrap this up. Yeah, Carolina, I see your hand up.
I just wanted to point out we have one phone-in participant who just joined. So I don't there will be a recording available that we'll post on the page where the big docs are posted. But Tyler, I don't know if you want to just say a couple words for somebody who just joined in.
Sure. Well, yeah, if somebody just joined, I'll at least invite them to ask any questions if they have any. Otherwise, we will post the meeting online for the review. But if the person who just joined by phone has a question they'd like to ask, please chime in. And if not, then we're going to wrap things up.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Hey, couple of quick questions. How many other participants signed into the meeting today?
Let's see. Our count today, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we have 6 or 7 that have signed into this meeting. The plan holders list is at 10, I think. Carolina, is that right?
Yeah, I would have to count to see how many of those are contractors. It looks like that we have 6 that participants now that are not from one of our consultants or from county personnel.
Okay.
Thanks, Carolina.
So just one quick question. Is the county or is the, and I don't know if this question's already been asked, but it would be nice to have it on the record. Is the county going to have any levity in the WSDOT specifications for materials supplied to the project?
Yeah, thanks. I believe how we have it written in the documents allows for local products to be used. Steve or Cameron, we spoke about that briefly, and I don't want to misspeak. If one of you wants to chime in and make sure I'm interpreting that correctly.
Yeah. Local products can be used. The WSDOT specs provide, you know, so long as they kind of meet the equivalency of the WSDOT specs. For example, kind of like stream bed materials, you know, the WSDOT specification provides the gradation it's intended to meet, and if a local supplier, you know, quarry can provide a suitable product that is equivalent, then by all means. Same for road material and other rock material.
Okay, so we did the Comrade Bay Road project on Fish Trap Creek for the county. All of the gravel material, in other words, all the stream bed boulders, stream bed gravel, all that had to come from off island because there is no local source on the island. The roadbed material, so all came from Dolphin Bay Quarry, which does not meet the WSDOT spec, but it's acceptable. It was acceptable material for the county. So that was my question. Is that going to be acceptable, or are the contractors going to be required to bring obviously WSDOT spec material from off island? And it sounds like it's going to be acceptable. So that's great. The road closure was a little bit in the addendum was a little bit confusing. So, and you guys, I apologize for being late. When you guys talked about that or discussed that, so is the expectation to the job to be started May 31st and be done by June 31st?
No, so the basically what we want to do is we wanted to avoid the peak travel times, and also be respectful of the community there in going into main summer season, and the access to the ferry for those folks and access to other amenities in town and such. So we're waiting to start this project after Memorial Day weekend. But we also didn't want to start the road closure that same week as Memorial Day weekend. So we have construction available to start after Memorial Day weekend, with the road closure the following, which can start the road closure start the following week. We then want that road closure to be done before the 4th of July week. But then the total time for the construction project would be 45 days if going with option A, the full road closure, or 50 days if going with the single lane bypass from calendar days from the initial start. So as far as 4th of July is concerned, it's just getting that road closure done before that 4th of July week. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So if you choose the option of doing a single lane bypass around the job, then you don't have to even, so the road closure doesn't even become an issue then, right? Because you've got single lane traffic 100% of the time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So because I noticed I thought it said in there you had to have a 2-lane bypass. Is that?
No 2-lane bypass. Just that if the road is, I think maybe what you're referring to as the road reopening clause was that if the road is closed, so if the road closure option is chosen, what we consider to be road reopening is having that through traffic once the road closure is done, and that there is, of course, it's acceptable to have single lane closures thereafter at times for work that needs to continue, but then at the end of the workday, both lanes need to be reopened again. So that was referring to the single, or to the full road closure option. The single lane closure option, that doesn't really apply to have something reopened before 4th of July. It's just that the project would need to start shortly after the Memorial Day weekend, and then have the 50 days for the bypass option wrap up in accordance with however many calendar days that is, as soon as the project begins. We want to avoid this running into summer, basically, and causing disruptions for the community. So we're taking every action we can to ensure that we're minimizing both the inconvenience to the community and also the emergency services access, which is a concern for this community as well. That's where we're minimizing the road closure and any other inconveniences.
Okay, so the overall, the 50 calendar days, 50 working days.
Calendar.
50 calendar days. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So you basically have 30 working days, roughly 32 working days. Okay. Material closures. The other question we had was, will the contracting agency allow precast versus cast in place, or will they allow cast in place versus precast?
Yeah, we have discussed this. We don't want to put a blanket no on anything. We want to leave things open to the creativity of a contractor. So cast in place is acceptable. I think that would come potentially with some some caveats, that there just has to be some environmental considerations included in a proposal for cast in place. This is not my expertise, so I don't know if Cameron, maybe you want to chime in on just some other things that we would want to make sure we're addressing with that option.
Yeah, the two things that come to mind for me are, one, the schedule risk. Of course, cast in place takes quite a bit longer to do, and if the whole road's closed while you're doing that, it makes it tough to get that all done within 9 days, calendar days. And then the other one is environmental considerations. So we'd need a good plan for making sure we're not putting high pH water and those types of things into the creek. But the idea, I believe, is to, if there's an acceptable plan to address those, submit it to the city or the county that satisfies the county, that, that is an option.
Okay, and then to meet the requirement of the cast in place, will we just have to meet the requirement, same rebar requirement for the structure, or will the structure has to be engineered?
Yeah, Steve, I'll let you answer that one, please.
Yeah, what comes with the submittal requirement for the culvert is the structural design. So yes, you'll be required to provide shop drawings and structural design of that culvert.
Okay. Perfect.
All right,
Well,
excellent. Thank you.
Say
Yeah,
again?
great. Thanks. Yeah, thank you for those questions. I appreciate those. Any other questions, or from anybody else, any other questions? Looks like not, so I think we can wrap things up. Wonderful. Well, thank you all for coming. We will have notes on this, some minutes on this meeting, and also the recording of this meeting available online, so it's there for your review and also accessible to anybody else. And yeah, wonderful. Look forward to hopefully seeing your bids come in the coming weeks. Excellent. All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.